Hi, this is Jeremy Danley, otherwise known as the comedian jer-dog. I have been a traveling professional touring comedian on the road, traveling pretty much the entire country since 2002. And just recently, I had worked with a very, very, very funny headliner, Katrina Brown. We did a couple of shows together, and our comedy chemistry just hit it off straight from the start. We decided to put together the show called the He Said, She Said comedy show, which takes both of our perspectives on life, marriage, kids, relationships, and we put that all together into one big show. We just launched that last weekend, and we decided to take the time in the hotel room during the day before the show to record a podcast where, again, we talk about all things comedy on the road, life, relationships, kids, marriage, and what that's like balancing that life, that domestic life, with being a traveling stand-up comedian. So here is the supplement to the He Said, She Said comedy show, the podcast with myself and Katrina Brown. Enjoy the laughs.
I always think it's a great idea to get a smoking hotel room until I do.
Yeah.
And smoke a few cigarettes, and I'm like, I am stuck inside an ashtray. I'm stuck inside my own lungs. It smells in here.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that smoke, but they don't like
We don't smoke in
the
our own
smoking
house.
room. You don't smoke in your own home.
Yeah.
Does Pat smoke?
Yeah, but we smoke in the garage or outside.
Mm.
We will not. This new house that we bought, the downstairs we managed to get painted before we actually moved in because our closing was pushed back so far. But the family room, the room we spend the most time in, the walls were institutional green, like hospital green, ugly as shit. But the ceiling was orange. That guy smoked everywhere in that house. And our bathroom upstairs, we thought the upstairs was safe.
Was the ceiling supposed to be white?
Yeah. But they were nicotine orange. Like the Curachrome was splashed up there. First time we took a couple showers, I noticed the walls were sweating nicotine. Like the steam, the condensation that was running down the walls was coming up brown. Like he must have smoked a lot in the bathroom. Now, I am a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
I've never smoked while I've taken a shit in my entire life, but the walls it looked like the walls were bleeding because it was this brown, goopy shit. I'm like, oh, that's great. You know, that's making the kids comfortable.
That's so bad.
It was disgusting. So we just vowed, look, we put a lot of work into cleaning this house up. We're not going to smoke in here. And we just did our 1-year anniversary a couple weeks ago, and not one cigarette has been smoked in the house.
Good, nice.
No matter how hot it's been or how cold it's been, rain, doesn't matter, snow, garage or outside. And we have a nice little back patio, like an open, with an awning on it, that a little porch swing. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's very quaint. Not big, but it's ours. We go out there, we go out in the garage, because it will, it's unhealthy as it is, but it will ruin a house. It'll ruin it. It'll make it stink, and the walls get marked up. It'll ruin a house. So, no smoking in the house.
That's probably smart.
It is, because at the old house, we smoked in the computer room. And I would sit at the computer, and I'd smoke 3 or 4 cigarettes before I even realized what I did.
Mm.
You know, get into something, light another one, get into something, holy shit, I just chain smoked 4 cigarettes.
Yeah.
You know, and we've definitely both cut back considerably because we don't smoke in the house.
Because the effort that you have to put in to go have the one.
Go outside, yeah.
Then you're not going to just stand out there and chain smoke.
Right.
But if you're writing or you're whatever you're doing on your computer, paying the bills or surfing YouTube,
it was hard to
you might just do it out of the habit.
It was hard to get used to that because the computer's in the living room, and now that we've got mobile devices, we're not as chained to the computers we used to be. But to sit at the computer, I still feel the urge to light up.
Yeah.
Because it's like they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But we haven't. We don't even keep our cigarettes in the house. We keep them in the garage. So there's no accidental, oh shit, I lit this. Oh well, I might as well smoke it.
Right.
Nope. Neither one of us. And I would be able to smell it. Because even as a smoker, most smokers, they can't smell it. I don't smell it. I smell it. I smell it on my clothes. I smell it in my hair. I know I smell like an ashtray. But if you smoke a cigarette in a clean room where hasn't been smoking in a while, it smells completely different than regular cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
It's not that it's more pungent, it just smells different because it's a foreign smell in a clean room. So
I remember about 10 years ago when like the anti-smoking in bars was first starting to come along, like in Minnesota and in Iowa.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere now, but at first I think it was, just in a few states that were kind of trying it out, or a few, like Minneapolis did it before the entire state of Minnesota did it, that kind of thing. And I remember, like, I was kind of on the side of, like, this is gonna, like, bar business was fucked because of that for a little while. It was, like, fucking up comedy business. It was fucking up a lot of shit. Now, all that's bounced back a lot. Right. But I remember having to go in and, like, on one hand, I was aggravated because of how this law is affecting business. On the other hand, on the inside, I was secretly relieved.
Sure.
Because I'd have to go home with my clothes smelling like that, my hair smelling like that. Finally, by the time I get all that stink off of me, I got to go right back on the road and get into it again. Like that was to me was like that was gonna kill it for me. It was just I didn't know if I could take another 10 years of performing in smoky environments where you have to talk for an hour and a half.
Well, even that, as a smoker in my car, I have to have a window sufficiently cracked. I don't like being in an enclosed area with a lot of smoke. My eyes will burn.
Yeah.
And that's why the whole smoking hotel room, it's nice because, you get back from the gig, you want to relax, grab a cigarette before you go to bed. And, man, there's some, just to get to the outside, it's like taking a nature trek. There was a hotel I stayed in. It was one of the biggest hotels. Don't ask me where I was at because I don't remember. You had to take elevator 1 up to the 6th floor and then go all the way to the other end of the hotel.
Oh, yeah, and then take another elevator up.
To the 10th floor. And that was the only way you could get there. So just to go out for a cigarette. Like, okay, I'll be back to my room in an hour.
Right.
Where
can I smoke? Well, you got to walk 7 miles that way.
Yes. And some places do maintain the X amount of feet from the front door rule. You can't even be near the door.
Yeah, like 15 feet or something like that.
What cracks me up, I even posted this on Facebook and somebody got shitty with me. If you're standing there smoking and you're nowhere near the door, but you are within sight of people, they walk by. Like, fucker, you have the whole establishment.
Yeah.
Hold your breath for 2 seconds, walk in, and you're going to be fine. And I get it that it bothers people. I am not making any excuses. It doesn't smell like fucking petunias, okay?
Yeah.
But when they do the and I haven't even lit
cigarette yet? Yeah.
You're faking, because the one guy on Facebook got defensive. You're a disgusting, nasty fucking habit. Some people are sensitive. I'm not denying that. I get it. But what kills me are like non-smoking hotels. Our whole hotel is non-smoking because of the health hazards for other guests. But they're pet friendly. And I have 3 cats. But I stayed at a hotel once that was hosting a fucking dog show. The dander, the barking, the smell of dog shit, and the dog hair. I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
I'm glad I had a rescue inhaler. Because I would have been miserable. Dog dander bothers me in large amounts. One of the reasons we don't have a dog. And so, okay, the smoke bothers people, but what about, I can't raise a stink. These people have to put their pets in their car, or they have to take their pets outside.
Right, or they can fucking board it if they're going to go on a trip. They can just have someone take care of it for them.
So there's that double standard. It's like, if you're worried really about allergens, let's eliminate all allergens. No one's allowed to wear cologne, body spray, hairspray. There's a lot of things.
Don't bring peanut butter up in here.
There's a lot of things that are disruptive to the respiratory system outside of cigarette smoke.
Yeah. For sure.
But it's easy to villainize it because it's a habit. It's not. But it's still a legal habit.
Well,
I'm not buying an illegal substance when I buy pack cigarettes.
Right.
So I shouldn't feel like a criminal if I'm standing outside in the open air. It was in Florida. I was in Florida because there was a huge awning outside the hotel, and I stood so that the air would take the smoke away, but I did stand at the awning because it was through that tropical storm. So it's pouring down rain. Biblical rain is coming down. I'm not going to stand in that to smoke. And I was well within an area. They had one of the little smoker butt things. I was right by that. So I was in a smoking area. I had my cigarette in my hand. I had just finished texting Pat. So I hadn't lit it yet. And the guy walked by. And I just held it up and looked at him. Like, you see it's not lit. They posted something like, if you do that again, I'm going to shit on your fucking car. Because I'm sick of people being fake. I'm sorry if it bothers you, but there's no way an unlit cigarette is making the guy barf up a lung.
Yeah. But it's also like a weird psychological trigger reaction where maybe he wasn't even... Like, if you're in theater and you have that theatrical fog smoke, and it gives me a little bit... There's nothing in that should make anybody cough or choke. That stuff is so safe. It's safe to breathe. It's just that it's like candy smoke.
Yeah, I was a DJ. I used to use the fog machine. Yeah.
So, but when you turn that fog machine on, a lot of times the front row of the audience, they just see the smoke. It hasn't even made its way into the audience yet, and there's nothing in it should make anybody cough.
Right.
The front rows of the crowd will all start. And it's for no reason other than the visual. They just saw the visual, and somehow that psychologically makes them start to go. And then it's also they hear other people doing it, so then they do it.
Humans
it's
are
a whole weird
monkeys,
thing.
We're silly monkeys.
It's all this weird fucking chain reaction shit that goes on. And I do think there's a stigma with smoking, but I also think smokers have earned that in a lot of ways because a lot of smokers aren't cool like you. They're assholes.
They're rude and they're messy. Like, if I'm at a place where there's not an outside place to put my butts, I have learned to flick the cherry off the end. I bend it in half and I'll either put it in my pocket or a little side pocket of my purse.
Yeah.
I don't throw them out my car window. I don't litter. I can't stand to see smokers just toss their butts anywhere. That's gross. Animals choke on that shit.
Sure.
That's not good for the little squirrels and stuff. I like animals. I don't want to make a squirrel choke to death on a cigarette, but I will put this... I was at an outside comedy show where it was like a pavilion, and they had it set up in almost like a garage. It was an FOP type situation, and you couldn't smoke in the pavilion. I get that. It's the same as not... So I was kind of off to the side, but there was no garbage anywhere around me. So I flicked the end off and I just dropped it in my purse. And the other comic goes, "What did you just do?" I said, "I clean that out later. It's like, it's not got ashes on it. I took care of that."
Yeah.
You put a cigarette butt in your purse. I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to litter." So he goes and he gets the lady that's running the thing. "Can we get her a cup of water? She's putting cigarette butts in her purse." I'm like, "Stop making a big deal about it. I do it all the time." Now I feel like this big diva that needs her own fucking ashtray. I'm like, it's okay. It's just, I was taught not to make a mess.
Yeah.
In general. My mom was like military clean, white glove inspection every Saturday. And even when I was a child and hated the fact that I had parents that smoked and hated the smell. There was no worse of a non-smoker kid as me growing up. I gave my parents shit all the time, and now I smoke. But we were responsible for emptying her ashtrays. And we couldn't just empty them. You had to get a damp paper towel and wipe them out till you saw the glass.
Oh, really?
Clean them. Yeah, and
wow.
You know how bad that stinks?
Yeah.
A wet ashtray smells 10 times worse than an ashtray. I can remember being like 7 and gagging, wiping out her fucking ashtrays, thinking, I'll never smoke. I'll never have these gross-ass things in my house.
Yeah. What got you started? Because everybody knows smoking's bad. That's the thing that gets me about smoking.
Most people start when they're really, really young. I was in my mid-20s, which is still young, but by that point, people are either a smoker or a non-smoker. They don't start. Exactly. That's not the time. I was married before Pat, and after the divorce, I had no social skills at all. I'm still socially awkward, but I've learned to embrace it. Yeah. But I got married at 21, so I didn't go through that. Let's all go party at 21. I was a wife and I was at home, working a corporate job, corporate job. I missed a section of growing up. So after I left him and started making friends, because I didn't even have any friends, and they'd say, let's go to the bar. I didn't know how to behave in a bar. I didn't know how to sit and relax with people in my own age group. And this one girl, Denise, threw her cigarettes at me. She's like, "You're making me nervous. Smoke one of these. You need to relax." I don't smoke. She's like, "I don't care. Smoke one. You need to do something." So I lit one cigarette and I smoked it. And I don't even think I inhaled. I think it was just a nervous.
Yeah.
You know, okay, I've got something to do now.
Right.
So I took one more out of her pack. On the way home, I bought a pack of cigarettes.
No shit.
And that was it.
That was it.
I have been a smoker ever since. I have quit several times.
Yeah.
And the last time I quit was because I had pneumonia really bad. And I was in the hospital so long and detoxed out of my system. And I did fine. Like, I could be around smokers and it didn't bother me. I'd kind of sniff that. I'm like, oh, okay, that satisfies the craving. It didn't make it worse until I had to do my first road trip. All I had to do was drive to Kentucky. It was a 6-hour trip. I had taken it many times.
Yeah.
Halfway there, I started to nod off. I'm like, you gotta fucking be kidding me. I'm good for 20 hours in the car before I do a nap. Why am I tired? Then I realized not only is it the action of smoking, but smoking is a stimulant.
Right.
And I had a pack on me. Because if I wasn't out, there wasn't a panic of being without. But I didn't have a lighter. I pulled into a gas station. I bought a lighter. I sat in my car. And I lit that first cigarette. And I bawled like a baby. I wept for my own failure. And it tasted so fucking good. I'm like, this is the most awful, wonderful thing. I'm such a failure. Oh my God, how did I ever give these up, you know? And I even told Pat, like, I'd been texting him, oh, it's so hard to not smoke. And when those text messages stopped coming, he knew I started again. He didn't give me shit. Even with the comedy club gave me shit. Like, the one manager took my cigarette out of my hand and broke it in half.
Really?
The fuck, dude? You're not my father.
Doing an intervention.
You were sick. I'm like, you know what? You're going to be sick in a minute. You do that shit again.
Yeah.
I'm a grown-ass woman.
Right.
Don't even try to father, husband, brother, mother me. I'll kick you in the nards. Tell me what to do. Does that refrigerator work?
I think so. It might not be plugged in. I did put some stuff in there, though, earlier.
Yeah. I stayed at this one shithole where you had to pick between the TV, the microwave, or the refrigerator for the only plug that was in the room.
That's what I don't fucking get, man. Like, they don't have that much to get right in these hotels, and they focus so much on weird stuff. Like, look at this art. You know, every room has these dumb, like, mall. I think those are both the exact same. That's the exact same painting.
It's hotel art, yeah.
It's literally the same painting.
It is.
Two of them in the same room. That makes no sense. It's like they took this one room, made it into two rooms that were going to be a mirror image of each other.
Right.
Like if you split the line right down the middle of those two lampshades, each side is like a mirror image of it.
It is.
Let's say it's fucking pointless. But meanwhile, you know, there's three things a hotel needs to get right. It's the shower, it's the bed, and it's the breakfast. If you can get those three things right, you can pretty much screw up just about everything else. Most places don't even get those three things right. But then they put in the effort to make sure that the painting and the artwork and all this is looking good. Right. And they've got all this weird stuff that no one uses.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, they have one electrical outlet that the TV, the microwave, and the refrigerator all have to share. Well, what's the point of having the refrigerator if you can only use it temporarily?
Right.
You got to unplug it to then watch TV. What's the point of the TV? I mean, that makes no sense.
Nicer TVs and shitty reception. Like,
right,
why did you pay to put these good TVs in these rooms if they're not going to be used? You know, I stayed in a it was a hunter's shack. It was a hunter's cabin. Yeah.
I've stayed in those like legitimate ones.
On an island, and I couldn't even leave because the ferry had already left for the night because I didn't want to stay there.
You're stuck.
So I drive from the venue to my cabin. And I forgot to leave the little porch light on, so it is pitch black. And I've got a decent little walkway between my car and that dark-ass cabin. There's bear, there's deer, there's all kinds of shit on this island. I gotta walk in the dark. No heat, no hot water, no cell reception, no TV. I mean, we're talking bare bones. I'm like, this, you know what? I'm not a diva. But I have always said, you know, at least let me protect myself from the elements. I had to take every blanket in the place and put on every article of clothing, because it was like March. It was fucking cold. It was on Drummond Island in Michigan. It was cold. It was cold. There's no heat, no hot water. And I didn't realize it. I thought when I got in the shower, it'll warm up.
Were you supposed to be like a real hunter and build your own fire?
I don't know if I was
like,
supposed to set shit on fire or what the fuck, but I'll tell you what, I was the quickest shower I ever took in my life. I have to take a shower before a show. I have to do my hair.
Yeah.
I'm a girl. I can't just go, oh, well, fuck it.
Right.
You know? It was probably the most miserable accommodations I've ever had.
Is that the worst?
It was the worst because it was miserable. I was cut off from, I couldn't call Pat, couldn't text Pat, couldn't use my Kindle, couldn't get online, couldn't watch TV. There was nothing. And then...
It's like you're in jail for the night.
Yeah. So I've
been in the drunk tank. That's exactly what it's like.
The first ferry left at 6. You better believe I was up in time to get on it.
Yeah.
But even then, as I'm driving to the ferry, I came this close to hitting a deer. So that would have been tragic to a degree, sure, yeah, but even my cell phone, I couldn't even call for help. I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere on an island. I hit a deer. I would have basically just have to wait till somebody found my ass.
You're screwed, yeah.
You know?
Oh, my God.
That's when you question maybe all gigs aren't worth taking.
Yeah. Well, but you also don't know that. What kind of gig was it? Was it like a company party?
It was
one-nighter?
through an agency that I don't work for anymore.
Right.
That was part of the reason why.
Yeah. Because you don't. Sometimes you don't find out what the hotel is or where you're staying until day of.
And they had hotels on that island, so there was no reason for us to stay in those shacks.
Yeah.
It was like, fuck the comics. They just need a bed to sleep in.
Yeah.
Not necessarily true. I drove 11 hours to get there. I'm gonna need to freshen up.
Right.
You know, and if you cut back a little bit on our pay and give us a hotel room with complete hot and cold running water.
Yeah, well, there's really there's not even really a reason to cut back on the pay.
No,
you know,
no damn well they could work something out.
Absolutely.
The only other place that was really bad was when I had a toilet back up on me, and Mount Vesuvius of feces came, and it wasn't even my poop. Like if I had taken a healthy road shit and I went to flush it and it overflowed, that can happen. But I, on my life, did not poop. And I flushed, and the water went completely away.
Yeah.
I took a piss, the water went away, and then it made this noise.
Yeah.
And it started to fill with toilet water. But then it started to fill faster, and it got more brown. I'm like, maybe it's just the water. And then I caught the smell of it, and I knew it wasn't just water. And it was literally like the shit monster in Dogma. You know, like I'm expecting the or whatever the fuck they called it to come out. You know, and I went for the phone, and then I heard somebody in the hall, and it was housekeeping. And I'm like, get in here, we got an emergency.
Help.
She didn't speak English. And I'm like, now. And then she came and she looked at it, and then she gave me a dirty look. I'm like, that's not mine. You know, because I'm taking the towels that I have to try to stop it from crusting the bathroom. It smelled so bad. And I'm like, oh. You know, I know we're not superstars, we're not famous, but I think we should be able to expect hot running water and non-running shit.
Right.
There should be an expectation, at least.
Like reasonable human accommodations.
Yeah. I did leave a hotel once because my door wouldn't lock.
That's a good reason to leave.
That's
actually happened to me many times.
Yeah. Well,
and it's one of these types of places where just the door opens right up to the outside.
Yeah, there was no hallway. And I even tried to wedge a door and a chair to the door, but nothing would reach. I'm like, fuck this. It was like a 7-hour drive home. I text messaged Pat, keep the porch light on. I'm coming home. I'll stop and get a Monster Java, pop some pharmaceuticals. I'll be home.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't get, why they don't vet the hotel when they don't. A lot of places actually now come up with some pretty decent digs. Yeah. But the ones that don't, I'm like, what were you even thinking, man? There's a Super 8 across the street, and I know that maybe it's $10 or $20 more. But come on, dude, because that $10 or $20 makes a world of difference for someone like us. We are travelers. Right. We in a lot of ways, I'm pretty tough. But you know what? We don't need just a bed. We need Wi-Fi connection. We do a lot of business via the internet, you know, and especially some of these clubs and bookers that expect the comics to have these extracurricular projects and followings where you're going to be super active on social media, and you're supposed to have like YouTube viral videos. They expect you to bring all that to the table, but then a lot of those same types of places will try to skip out on.
They'll book you in the Hunter Shack.
Yeah, or they'll put you in their condo, and they don't have Wi-Fi. So now you're like, I'm 4 days here in a condo without access to the resources that I need to do the shit you fuckers want me to do.
Well, it's little stuff like, I don't know if it's me being picky, but I stayed at a condo, and it was 3 or 4 days. There was no coffee pot. Like, I don't mind buying coffee.
Yeah.
I don't mind buying my own groceries. I don't expect free food, and I don't expect free alcohol. A lot of people do. They act like that's a must. There's not many jobs where you get fed. Okay?
Yeah.
If I'm going to be somewhere for 4 days, I prefer a condo situation because now I have a kitchen. I can eat healthier. I can control better. I'm always worried about eating too much junk. So, but at least have a goddamn coffee pot because 90% of adults
basic stuff
drink coffee.
Yeah.
I'll buy the coffee. The one condo I used to stay at, I would leave the coffee for the next person because I couldn't go through a whole thing. You know, I would put a date on it.
Sure.
I didn't tamper with it. Here's coffee.
Yeah.
So that if somebody didn't know they needed it, it would be there. I'd leave filters. I'd leave coffee for the next person. But at least have a working fucking coffee pot. So after I drive 9, 10, 12, 15 fucking hours to where I'm going, you want me to let me make a damn cup of coffee. It's not hard. And then I'm like, okay, that's diva. I'm like, no, it's not. That's human. So maybe it's picky. I don't know. Like I said, I've been showered in someone else's shit and unable to shower for not having hot water. So I guess it can always get worse.
Have you ever played a strip club?
No.
So there's this. It's in Wisconsin. It's some central Wisconsin, and it's like I don't know what the name of the town is now, but it's like I just did it last spring though. And on Friday nights, they shut the music goes off. The girls go put on the regular clothes. They shut down the dancers, and now it's comedy night for the next 2 hours. And
how does that go?
You know what? I've heard a lot of horror stories, and I've heard a lot of comedians won't do the gig. And I took the gig not knowing what it was until too late to fucking get a new booking. So, but I went and did it, and I like I like adverse situations. I love adverse situations. Yeah. So as long as it's a good crowd, as long as the adverse situation isn't me having to change what I need to change to accommodate children or old people, I'll take a shitty microphone. I will take any weird stage setup. Mm-hmm. I'll take all of that. But a lot of comics get freaked out. First of all, it was in the round, so the audience was all the way around you.
Oh, weird.
So. Now I've done theater before, so I've acted in that. I know how to do that. Right. You just keep rotating. Sure, I've also watched, the Dane Cook HBO special where he performs like that.
Howie Mandel did that.
This is all they do. They just walk a figure 8.
Yeah.
And you circle.
Yeah.
So I did that. So I had no problems with any of that. The crowd is great. Obviously, they're going to love the dirty stuff.
Sure. I
started out with my stripper. I have a strip club bit. I did some of it last night, but I have a more in-depth strip club bit than I did.
I heard it in Clinton.
I probably.
It's funny as hell,
I did do it then, yeah. So I did that. Totally won them over. Had a great show. Sold a lot of merchandise. It went over great. But the lodging was the bunkhouse for all the dancers when they come in for the weekend, or when they're headliner from Playboy or the Penthouse Channel or whatever. When that person comes in and they have their people with them, they stay in the bunkhouse across the parking lot. So that was the lodging for the comedians. Now, we were the only ones in there. There were no dancers in there. They were all the locals that night. But there were probably 6 bunk beds in 3 different rooms. And no sheets on any of the beds. No sheets whatsoever. There were no towels in the bathroom. There were no... basically, all the furniture was there. There's no actual bedding.
You don't think there's nothing that can contain moisture or germs.
Right. Probably. Probably exactly it. That's probably exactly it.
That's probably exactly what it is.
And there was also a list of rules, house rules on the front door about what could or could not transpire. And no illegal drugs was actually listed twice. It was like rule number 2 and rule number 9. And of course, I broke damn near every rule in that place. It's like no smoking, no illegal drugs, no this, no that. It was the weirdest thing. I rolled in there. Now, again,
Did they tell you ahead of time there wasn't bedding or towels?
No, that's what I'm getting at. It's like,
if they tell you ahead of time,
no freaking
you can pack.
Yes.
Appropriately.
Right. So a lot of times I'll travel with my own. I used to travel with my own bedding.
I don't.
I used to, but that was when I started traveling. Oh, my own this, my own that. I had a whole goddamn caravan of shit I had to travel with. Right. So now it's like I don't need to bring the bedding. Sometimes I'll bring a pillow, but for the most part, I'll always travel with my own towel because sometimes I'll wind up in a place where I got to take a shower on the road. I got to hit a shower at a truck stop or someplace like that. Okay. So I'll almost always travel with a towel. I was fine. I was kind of okay there, but no bedding. I was like, what am I supposed to do? No fucking pillows, no blankets, no nothing. I am actually. Is that all right?
Yeah, but there was a story I was going to tell, but I won't. It's not for public.
Oh, all right.
Just about lack of bedding and bad accommodations because it involves another comic. And I don't want to talk shit. But
maybe you can just leave names out.
Trust me. If I tell it and they hear it, they're gonna know.
They'll know.
This is scaled down considerably as far as luggage for me.
Yeah.
When Pat got me the R2D2 bag, and I went to a smartphone. I've only had a smartphone for 3 months. I had a flip phone.
Really?
Yeah, because it still worked. Fuck.
This phone right here, you only had for 3 months.
Yes,
Otherwise, you had a flip phone.
Yeah.
How do you do so much Facebooking?
I had a Kindle.
Oh,
Kindle
all right.
Fire.
Okay.
And but because I had the Kindle, and I needed this cord for that and this cord for my phone, so I had a third bag that was like medication and extra girly shit. But once he got me R2D2 and I went to this, I condensed. I always feel like I'm forgetting something just having these 2 bags because I always had a third bag.
Yeah.
Now, knowing I only had a show last night tonight, that is exceptionally light with my clothes in it. That thing is usually puffed to the gills when I have to put enough clothes in it for 3, 4, 5 days. Which is why I don't fly. That right there is hair products.
That's it?
Hair products and bathroom shit. Good for you that you can take a towel and take a shower at a truck stop.
Right.
I move into a bathroom when I stay somewhere because I have product. I get people who would see it. Like I unzipped my old one, the Diva Dome construction kit bag.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, we stayed in a condo together, and he kind of hovered at my bedroom door. I'm like, come on in, we're friends, we can talk. And he came around the corner into my bathroom, and I had unzipped it, opened it. He goes, Jesus, this looks like a surgeon's operating kit. Everything had its own place, and all my products were lined up, and my appliances and makeup bag and everything, and so he's like, it must suck to be a girl and have to take all this shit with you.
Yeah,
so it definitely does involve extra luggage.
100%.
But
that right there, that's just your hair equipment.
I'm not shitting you. This is the Diva Dome construction kit. We've got, there's hairspray and shit falling out.
Right.
There's different products. This is my jewelry. This is my shower stuff. And then, under here is the curling knife.
The dryer.
Yeah.
All that, yep.
Yeah, you have to. That's what it's
like
being a girl. Doesn't matter, I only have, like I said, 7 hairs left on my head. They all have to lay the way I want to.
Yeah.
I have to step outside and grab a cigarette, though, before I get in the shower. What time is the show again?
It's at 8 o'clock.
Okay, then I got plenty of time. But anyway, I'm going to stand right here in the doorway. I don't think it's going to matter.
No, not at all. I can bring this over here and I'll just... So that's why every hotel in this town is expensive, and we wound up here because we're right across from that lake.
Water,
this like tonight, I had to pay the room. They're going to reimburse me when I get in there tonight, and they pay me out. But it was $84
for this
shithole. Yeah.
$84.
Yes, for this.
I'm telling you, that smell we're smelling. Little concerned that it's mold, because the back of my throat's starting to burn.
Yeah.
And it's not this.
Right. So is that like you're gonna wake up sick tomorrow? You breathe in mold all night?
I don't know. Standing in this doorway, smoking a cigarette, it's like an iconic view of low-class America. hanging out of a no-tell motel looking place, smoking a cigarette. All right, send
Right.
in the next John.
Shoes off.
I cleaned up a little bit. Send the next one in.
Come on, kid. I don't have all day.
There was a family in the parking lot. And there was a little kid on a bike in the parking lot. Around the corner there. Yeah. It was pretty.
So tonight should be good. It's a small place, 45 people. They sold out, and the guy's like, "Man, I really wish I could fit more people in here because I guess after they sold out last week, this week they've had a lot of people. It's like your kid's birthday party,
Right.
You didn't hear it till a day or two before.
Right.
A lot of times the comedy clubs, they don't get a majority of their tickets sold until the day of the actual show.
Right.
So this guy was sold out for our show last week, and then this week is when he got flooded with all the requests for tickets. So he's like, "Man, I really wish
Why
I could
didn't
have
he
fit
book
more
a
room."
second show?
That's what I really wish I would have known.
Because he could have done it. We could have done 2 shows tonight
Exactly.
and doubled our pay, and he could have doubled his money.
Yeah, what I would have done was propose that had I known last week that that's what was going on. But I didn't find out until I checked it with him on Thursday,
Right.
and he brought that up. I was trying to check in, how's promotion going,
Right.
And when I checked in with him last week, he was like, "Pretty good. We're almost sold out." He's like, "Cool." So I was like, "I'll just let it be. It'll take care of itself."
Right.
And then when I checked in with him again on Wednesday, he was like, "Oh, we're sold. I really wish I had more room." And I didn't even think at the time to like add the second show,
Yeah.
but that's always a good idea because a lot of times I'll even add the second show in that case as
Cancel it.
I'll do like a. Yeah, because if they, you know what, we wound up not selling any tickets, fine, whatever. We're doing the first one, but I'll even say like, we'll do the second one for half price,
Right.
Since we're already there,
Right. Yeah.
You know. And that second show, although those second shows screw me up because I don't go in A, B, C, D order. I don't know how you do your set list, but I don't go like.
Whatever comes in my head at the moment.
There you go. That's how I do it too. I have a.
I can't follow a set list. I think every show, if I had to get up on stage and methodically repeat the same material, I'd be out of comedy. I'd be bored shitless.
Yeah.
Now last night I was a little disjointed because I'm trying to phase out the mutant stuff, like the jokes about my boobs and the metal plate in my head. It's hallmarky, wishy. It's funny.
Yeah.
And it's served me well, but even like the mutant queen, I'm trying to get rid of that title because everybody's the queen of everything now.
Right.
And it's hack. I can't stand it, but it's kind of stuck to me. It's like Gallagher's melons.
Yeah.
He's never going to be able to not do sledge-o-matic.
Right.
And in areas where I have performed before, if I don't at least open with the boob jokes, people ask me, "Why didn't you do it?" It's like they want to hear.
They want the mutant queen.
You think people would want to hear new stuff, but it's like going to see your favorite band. They want the new stuff, but they want the greatest hits too.
They want it all.
And depending on how much time I have, I would much rather, if it's a repeat venue, give them new stuff versus the same shit they heard the last time I was here 2 years ago. And I guess at Steven's point, the last time I was here, I did the mutant stuff because the MC Brady. Is that his name, Brady?
Yeah.
He even said, "You didn't do those jokes." I'm like, "No, I'm trying to phase them out." But I'm still a little hitchy because for so long, my intro was the weight loss stuff, boob jokes, and then wherever I wanted to go. The first 7 minutes were pretty. It established me with the crowd that I'm going to be a little ballsy, and I'm not going to be what you're expecting. Don't get up there bashing men or bitching about being heavy or bitching about being a woman or bitching about getting older. I do the opposite.
Yeah.
But I give them a taste of who I'm going to be with that 7 minutes. And then, gauging upon their reaction, I can pick where I want to go. But last night, I just jumped into the marriage stuff. So I was a little bit, in my opinion, a little hitchy.
You were a little hitchy, but I think that hitchiness is good. I think it's endearing. I think when I'm watching it and I can pick, and I've worked with you only twice before.
Right.
And one of them was that 20-minute set in Clinton.
Right.
And the other was that gig up in North Dakota. Yeah. So I remembered some stuff. I remember more attitude and personality, and I remember more like general demeanor or general subject matter, as opposed to like specific jokes or bits.
Yeah.
But I remember that you did talk about being married and having kids. I remember you doing a bit about your husband having a vasectomy and putting a bag of peas.
Oh my God, see, and I haven't done that joke in so long. I should do that tonight. I haven't done that in so long.
But I think I'm not familiar with your act really at all.
Right.
But I could tell just from a comics perspective that you were, what did you call it, Hitchi?
Hitchi, yeah.
So
yeah, because I did stuff out of order.
Yes.
It was like I put my material in a blender.
Right.
And shit kind of flew out. And when I do that, and it happens too, I don't know if it happens to you, when you're on a weekend where there's 6-7 shows. And
I can't remember what you did.
Right, yes.
Did I do that on the first show?
Yes, I was just at the Orlando Improv, and our Sunday show was one show Thursday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday. Sunday show, every joke that left my mouth, I'm like, did I just repeat myself?
Yes.
So, that's always a fear, because I am, by nature, a dingy, absent-minded person. I can start one conversation and take it up, and it end up not even being what I ramble.
Right.
In conversation, I ramble. So when I'm on stage, if I'm changing the flow of things that I follow in general, if I go way off left and I'm trying to get back right, I can't remember, did I say that already? And then I'm like, oh God, this could be epically terrible in about 3 minutes. Because if I go right back into, you do 3 minutes, then you go 10 minutes. If you go back into that 3 minutes, the audience isn't going to go, hey, dumbass, you already told that joke.
Right.
So no one's going to tell you that you're repeating
yourself. But they won't laugh.
And
then you got to go, did I already say that one?
Did I do this whole bit?
Did I already do that joke? Yeah, and I'll go, yeah, you did.
I always wanted
this happened to me before.
On stage, I always wanted to feel a little bit like, I think one of the marks of a good comic is the audience believing you are coming up with that in the moment.
Yes.
And that's one thing, like when younger comedians ask me for advice. The one thing, if I've seen them, like my home club has open mic Tuesday. And sometimes they'll have 10, 15 guys doing 3 to 5 minute sets.
Yeah.
Some of them will ask for advice. And I hate it because I'm honest. I'm going to tell you what I thought. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm not going to be the one to pat you on the back. You did good. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I respect comedy too much. That as an art form, I want everyone to do well. I don't want the art of comedy misrepresented by somebody who phones it in or is shit and doesn't want to improve. Because they just want to be a comic, even if they're bad at it.
Yeah.
So I try to give constructive. I mean, I don't go bitch on them like, you suck. I've never done that. But I tell people exactly what I thought. And what I have noticed, and it happens with newer people, they get a set list, and you see them writing shit down 3 minutes before they go on stage. I've seen veteran comics do it almost like a safety blanket, and then they put it away.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that in itself is wrong, but you got a newer comic, 5 minutes, they're panicking, they're going to forget stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget my material. Well, the only person who knows you forgot it is you.
Yes.
But there's a difference when you see someone on stage where you can almost see a mental checklist. I did joke A, I did joke B, they're reciting their material, they're not performing it.
Right.
And there's such a vast difference between recitation and performing. If you get that, if you understand the concept, and you go into the performance side of it, you're going to be fine. Because if you have 7 minutes of material, and you have 7 minutes of time, and you miss that middle joke, but it's filled with laughter breaks and natural pauses, no one knows you dropped the joke. So don't panic about it. Don't stress over it. See, now I don't even know why the fuck I got on this topic of conversation. Because I'm rambling.
Well, yeah. Well, I mentioned that, when we were talking about doing a second show.
Yeah,
it's because I go freeform. I do it like you do. I do about 5-7 minutes up front, like character establishing, personality establishing.
This is how we're gonna get along. This is what you're gonna see.
Exactly. Handshake. Good to meet you.
Yep,
And I got that from watching Bill Cosby himself, where he's in the brown suit.
I had that memorized as a kid. Yes.
And he starts out talking about doing drugs. Then he does the dentist bit. Then he goes into his actual personal life stuff.
Right.
So that's how I always like to go. I stole that formula from way back in the day. I was like trying to figure out how to do comedy. I was like, I'm gonna talk about generic shit, and I'm gonna go right into talking. Once I won them over, then I can talk about whatever I want.
Well, it's funny because when I do that 7 minutes and they get weird about the boob stuff, I tell them, this is the easy shit. I am easing you into the Katrina Brown experience, so you need to toughen up a little if we're going to get along. I will guide them through what they are about to see.
Yeah.
Because I do think at times I am more bold than they're used to women being. Not in comedy. In comedy, everybody's bold in their own way. But you take the average person in small towns like this, they're not at a comedy club every weekend.
Yeah.
You know, comedy club audiences, most of the locals, that's their bar they hang out at.
Yeah.
So they've seen and heard it all. So they're not as shocked if a woman starts talking about sex the way a small town who hasn't seen a female comic live starts talking the way I talk.
Right.
So I almost feel like I'm not ease them in like they're idiots, but I don't want people so uncomfortable they're not having a good time. But they do need to know you're in for some different shit. I'm warning you now. You're going to need to open your mind just a little bit for us to get along at all, because I don't want people to leave feeling miserable.
Yeah.
I want to have fun. I thought of a new bit last night when I got back to the hotel, and this is my biggest downfall. I don't write anything down. In 10 years, I have never fully written.
You actually physically write?
Yeah. I rehearse it in my head.
Yeah.
And if I can't, my attitude is if I can't remember it, it's not funny enough for the stage.
Huh.
Because in the few times I tried writing stuff out, and then I got on stage, it sounded scripted. It sounded like I was reciting versus performing.
Okay.
And my method of memory is repetition in my head, and then once I do it on stage a few times, then it's there. I have probably forgotten more material than I'll ever remember because I don't write stuff down.
Yeah.
I think of stuff when I'm driving, in the shower, and as I'm falling asleep. And if I can't remember it when the drive's over, the shower's over, or when I wake up, I thought of something. All I can tell you is last night I thought of something brilliant.
All right.
But I don't know what the fuck it was.
Oh, but you don't know. It was great.
It was the most epic bit ever, but it's gone now.
Forgot it.
And now that I have this, there's a notes option. I could type the shit out on my phone.
You could record it.
I could do that too.
Speak into that.
Yeah, and yet I don't.
See, that doesn't work for me. I know a lot of guys that do that.
Right.
I know, and I've always been a writer, like a joke, like a setup punchline writer. Like
right.
This and then this.
Right.
And I've always done that with like one of these. I'll put a line down the middle, and I'll come up with like, here are the topics, and then here's the funny stuff.
Bless your heart, I can't do it.
Try to put it together like that. But I also do it the way you're talking about, right? Is think of something, and then I rehearse it in my mind, and then I go on stage and just work it out that way, and then through repetition, it just develops into a bit. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've done it that way too. The reason I started writing stuff down is because I do forget it. So if I'll write it down, just that act of writing it, I won't try to write it out or sculpt it into this perfect joke on paper. I'll just write, here's general premise, general topic, general bit, here's where I'm going, write it out. Maybe I'll come up with a few other things. I'll write those in there. Then I never look at it again. But it's like that act of writing it in there is what puts it in my head. Right. Now I'm free, I'm comfortable on stage because I'm confident in what I'm going to talk about and what my attitude is towards it. And I'm also comfortable not getting laughs. So if I'm up there for a few minutes and this is not going well, I'll leave it, like it's a weird kind of a pressure situation where I'll force it to go well. You know, where it's like, this isn't working out the way I envisioned it in my head, but here's some other things that I've come up instead to save it.
Right.
And that sometimes is even better.
Right.
You know, so I love to get on stage without the safety net, with having the safety net, but with still walking the tightrope.
Well, I think that especially newer comics are afraid of silence. They fear silence. They think if they're on stage, that the audience should be whipped up in a frenzy the entire time.
Yeah.
And I call it the swoosh factor. Like in a basketball game, it's tied. Somebody throws the ball at the buzzer. The time the ball is in the air, that everybody's silent.
They're quiet.
And then when that ball swooshes through, everybody goes crazy.
Yeah.
I like the swoosh factor jokes. And the one that I have, and it hits 9 times out of 10, is when I talk about the Facebook videos, shares, where I get into, the fight video talk.
Yeah.
If you watch, they get real quiet. They're with me on how degrading that is to human beings.
Yeah.
They're getting fired up, like, yeah, we should do that. people are better than that. Yeah, yeah. And then I throw that punchline in there that they did not expect, and they go fucking crazy. That, to me, is one of the best moments on stage. When they're quiet, and then boom!
Yeah.
I love it. What I've learned through watching people and myself, the longer the setup, the bigger that punchline better be.
That's right.
If you're going to keep them quiet, there shouldn't be a little, at the end of a long setup.
Yeah.
And I've watched newer guys, they're so wordy. Their setups are so wordy and so lengthy. There's needless information involved where you just want to tell them, my God, chop it, chop it.
That's old Rodney. Rodney Dangerfield is my favorite comedian growing up, and he was the master of no extra words.
That's how Robin Williams is one of my favorites. But Christopher Titus, I love Titus. He's a wordy motherfucker.
He's very wordy.
But he makes it work.
But his wordiness is interesting. You can be wordy. The only rule is to be interesting, really.
Right.
You got, of course, we're doing comedy. We're promoting it as a comedy show. It's advertised that people will laugh their asses off.
Right.
So you have to deliver that.
Right.
But in entertainment in general, in comedy in general, I think the only real rule is to be interesting.
Yeah.
You can sit there and say, oh, these comics today are too wordy or this or that. They can be wordy if it's like Titus and they're performing it and they're interesting and their facial expressions are into it and they're talking with passion from the heart. Like this right now, what we're doing.
Yeah.
There's maybe like 4 or 5 really great chuckles out of this whole conversation.
Sure.
But what we're talking about is interesting.
Yes.
It's relevant.
Right.
And we're both speaking from the heart. And I think that hopefully that will capture people's attention and hold them.
You have to have passion in what you're doing, and that's a great word to use, because you see some of these seasoned road dogs when they started.
Yeah.
They wanted to be the next Rodney Dangerfield. They wanted to be the next Eddie Murphy. They wanted to be the next something, and they aren't. But through their journey, whatever you want to call it, they are comics. They are road comics.
Yeah.
And it's not what they wanted, but now that's all they do.
Yeah.
And that they feel stuck. And they phone it in on stage, and it's sad. It makes me sad because I see somebody who probably was once very passionate about being a
talented
comedian, and they just lost it somewhere. And that's what I never want to have happen. I don't care about fame. I don't care about notoriety. I don't care about getting my own Comedy Central special. I don't care about Sean Wayans read me the riot act in the green room that I should be in LA writing a sitcom about my life.
Yeah.
I said, no. I said, first of all, the fat wife to a blue-collar worker has already been done. Roseanne took it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to be told I'm the next Roseanne. I don't want to be the next anything. I want to be me.
Yeah,
I want to be Katrina Brown.
You're the next Katrina Brown.
Yeah, I don't want to be the next Lisa Lampanelli. I don't want to be the next Roseanne. They took those identities and they did fine with them.
Right.
I don't want that identity. I don't care about that. I want to be in front of an audience. I don't care where it is. It doesn't have to be a comedy club. It doesn't have to be an Elks Lodge. It can be anywhere people want the idea of laughing. They're hungry for humor. Let me feed them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I care about. And I have people yell at me that that's not ambitious enough. Like, well, I've seen a lot of people with a lot of ambition and where they wanted to be when they didn't get there, they couldn't appreciate where they're at. Just bitter-ass people who are pissed off that they didn't get their sitcom, they didn't get their HBO special, or they got it, but now they're still back out on the road because that's what you fucking do.
They're still doing the same goddamn gigs.
Yeah.
And that's one of the greatest myths in show business from my perspective.
Right?
Is the going for the sitcom or the movie or the HBO special or Comedy Central, that becomes the mountaintop. That's the pinnacle.
Right.
That's the gold medal. If I get that, exactly, then what? Now you got that, you still got to parlay that into gigs.
Right. Are you going to get your HBO special and get a paycheck and say you're done? No.
You're
still going to do shit.
You're still going to go do it.
You're going to work at a comedy club. You're going to work at an Elks Lodge. You're going to work in fucking wherever, Ashland, Wisconsin, at the Safari Room. You're still going to do what we're doing. The difference is you might be able to put more asses in seats because people recognize you. Right. But if you're so
your credit might get you a little bit bump in pay.
But if you're so angry and bitter that when people see you, they go, well, that's not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
Then you're not doing a service to the art you used to love. And that frustrates me. I've seen people do that. I've seen people, bigger name people, just sour an audience because they weren't what the audience was expecting.
Right.
You know, X famous person goes up and talks shit for 45 minutes, vents about their life instead of making their life fun to listen to.
Yeah.
And then they come at me, well, I liked you better as the middle. I don't even know how to answer that.
You don't. It's thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Have a good night. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do?
Well, and for me, it's never a competition anyway.
No.
If people say, I liked you better. Well, I don't even want to say thanks because I don't really have gratitude because it wasn't a competition. I wasn't trying to beat the other comedian.
Yeah. I always say, well, you know.
I like it much better than they go, I really liked your bit about such and such.
Right. Yes.
Thanks. That's why I have genuine
if
gratitude.
If somebody comes up and tells me you reached me on a personal level, that's my goal.
Right.
But I liked you better than the other person, especially, my God, if that person's standing right there. Like, have a little tact. That's my coworker. That's my comedy brother or sister. Please don't, because some egos are fragile enough that they'll hold that against you, and it wasn't even your fucking name.
Oh, I've had that happen too, where I worked with the guy who was the booker of the room, and he's reading the comment cards. And this is back in the day, and it said, jer-dog should have been the headliner. Well, they don't know that the headliner was also the booker of the room.
Yeah.
So he's like out loud reading these cards. It's like card after card after card. First guy was better. Jer-dog should have been the headliner, this and that. So he's like reading this, and I'm like kind of laughing about it.
It's a double-edged sword,
man. It is, because you want to do that. Well, listen, I kind of went in that day with like the intention of blowing the guy out just because of a previous history where they're like, no, you're not good enough to headline. You're not good enough to headline.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I'm working with them. So the night before I went in and I softballed it. I set him up perfectly, just out of respect. Here you go. But I knew that I could have brought the goods.
Right.
And then I felt guilty because I did it. And then the next day I sat and I was just in my hotel room, nothing to do, working on some shit. I had the TV on, and that UFC reality show where they bring up the new Ultimate Fighters was on. It was an all-day marathon. It's like Last Comic Standing, but with Ultimate.
Yeah.
I did. So I'm watching this one match, and it goes to a draw. And the guy's, he's crying. He's so pissed off because he lost the judge's decision. The judges decided for the other guy. So the dude that lost, he's crying. He's in the locker room. He's punching the lockers. And his managers, his coaches, and teammates come up to him like, dude, that's why you have to go for a knockout. It's either got to be knockout or tap out. You cannot let this go to the judge. If you let it go to the judge, it could go either way.
Right.
We all think you won, but they like the other guy better. So I'm like, that's what I got to do, God damn it. If I want to be a headliner, I can't be fucking around being like the great feature.
No.
I need to go for a knockout.
You go for the
there
throat.
cannot be there can't be like, oh, well, maybe you're pretty good. Maybe we'll give you a shot. It's got to be a tap out or a knockout. And so I went in with that mentality. Where I'm like, I'm cutting out any joke that doesn't work. I'm cutting out any like little thing that I just like to do because it's fun for me. I'm going 30 minutes of solid A game.
Yeah.
And I did that. It was like applause break. And then from that was like, even if I hadn't accomplished to start headlining that room, even if that hadn't happened, I learned a big lesson. And that big lesson was, when you cut out the bullshit and you just tighten it into like a 30-minute set, that was like a good lesson to learn as far as quality control.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of, maybe I can just go a little bit slower and this kick-ass 30 I can make into 45.
Right.
I don't need all this, like a lot of that stuff wasn't the wordiness of the newer comics, but it was just like the fat. Like the bullshit that I just habitualized myself into doing or saying or talking about or things I do. When I cut all that out for this other intention, I learned like, shit, I actually don't need all that garbage. I can just go bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
And then bring it. And then once I'm doing that, now I've got a little bit more time. Now I can experiment again and then whittle all that down to, and then, it became like a new polishing pattern for me that I'd never experienced before or
we all represent ourselves. We are our own product. And you shouldn't have to belittle your product when working with anyone else. And a case in point, I got booked with the headliner who's one of those LA names. Now, I had never heard of the guy, but he had the right list of credits. He's been on Letterman, he's been on Leto, he's Last Comic Standing.
Yeah.
And I'm not belittling anyone's accomplishments. I am not bitter towards opportunities that I have yet to have. That's not my point. But what I'm saying is, that does not necessarily make a good road comic.
Not at all.
Because the first show we did together, and I was brought up in comedy that if you aren't the headliner, you ask the headliner, are you clean or dirty? And if they're clean, then you gotta clean your shit up. You can't have a filthy fucking feature and then a church headliner. You can't.
Right.
It doesn't work. So you, as a feature, better be able to tweak yourself to fit what the headliner's saying the mood of the room is.
For sure.
And you ask whether or not it's okay to sell merchandise. There's nods of respect in the lineup that I was taught you are supposed to do. And it's been very rare that anybody has ever told me, don't do this, don't do that. 9 out of 10 times the answer is you be you. That's why they hired you.
Yes.
And it's also my opinion, if you're headlining, you shouldn't have to worry about what other people are doing.
If you do your job right, they shouldn't even remember the fucking...
Well, I don't think it's that. I think they should remember the whole show because the whole show is important. But I think as a headliner, if you're worried that someone's going to do a joke similar to yours, or if the feature does a joke, if you don't have the material to replace it, you shouldn't be a headliner. That's, if you don't have enough material to cover your ass, you shouldn't have. But my point being, I always, at the nod of respect, if I'm in the middle, hey, is it okay if I do this, I check. Yeah. And I respect whatever I'm told. I was working with this guy, and I thought right away, we are not going to get along. Because he was a polished TV corporate. Yeah. His jokes, there was nothing personal at all about any of his material. Yeah. His jokes could be told by anybody who wanted to tell them. But they weren't good enough for anybody to steal. But my point being, there was nothing about his material that said that is that person. Like your material says that's Jeremy Delaney. My material says that's Katrina Brown because we talk about our lives. This guy did not do any of that. First show, because I didn't know, I'd never seen him, I went midline for my material. I did a lot of kid stuff. I curved back my vocabulary because he said do whatever, but there's times they say that and then they yell at you later. Yeah. So our first show went well, but when I heard him, I thought, there's no reason I can't be me because this guy isn't one way or the other. He was very midline. So the next show, I was me for a half hour. And I killed the room, and he was mediocre. He got a mediocre because he was boring. Right. It was scrub clean corporate comedy. By our last show, he wouldn't even speak to me. Really? And I didn't bury him on purpose. I just didn't tone myself down for the benefit of somebody else. Nobody should. Not one comedian should worry about the comedians after them not being able to follow them. Right. Because if that's the case, then the bookers don't know their comics. Which is true. That can be a problem. If they don't know who they're working together, no comic should be responsible for that. Right. I should not have to not be me. Now, I'm not saying I should be able to say whatever I want. That's not what I'm saying. I can do all my material and not swear once. But it is adult material. So I should know. You should know not to book me at a church. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. Aside from that, I don't have to say fuck. I don't have to say anything dirty, as far as my vocabulary. But I should be able to be me 100%, not feel like doing so is going to piss somebody off. Right. And when that happens, I am not sorry. I'm not sorry.
And as you shouldn't be. Because that's that other guy's fault for being robotic, for being coming in mechanical and stilted, like you said, midline. That's not really even good performing. You might, it's very safe. If you're going to be a company, party,
then do that.
In corporate, because that's what they want in a corporate environment. Yeah. But in a bar, in a club environment, people are there. They don't want safe stuff. They want you to fuck them.
There was a guy, we used to be friends. He knew me when I was an open micer. And it was one of those times I got booked where I didn't know who my headliner was until I showed up. Yeah. And he's like, oh, wow, we get to work together. This is cool. I'm like, I don't think you're going to like it. Because he was going from dirty to clean. Yeah. He was cleaning up. I said, I'm not going to be dirty, but I don't think you're going to like us working together. You're not going to like it at all. I'm apologizing in advance. There were 2 shows that night. Yeah. First show, I went full throttle Katrina. He got on stage. Really? You guys like that stuff? Really? You liked that? And they were like, yeah, we liked her. So he couldn't even cut me down because the audience was in love with me for a half hour. Yeah, yeah. So now he's got to back off, I don't know, talking shit about me, but now he's got to keep that energy. And I watch him like, oh, all right, if that's what you want, and I'm going to do my material, and I'm just fun. I can't believe you liked that. Like, his whole set.
So that he gave up.
He gave up. And then we're selling merch.
Shit.
I had my T-shirts.
Yeah.
I go small, medium, large. I go from small to 3XL.
Okay.
As a bigger person, nothing frustrates me more than wanting to buy a shirt and you don't have something to fit my fat ass.
Right.
I just do all extra larges. They can wear them as a nightshirt if they're tiny. I'm like, what are they supposed to do if they're fat? No fat fucker's going to squeeze into an extra large shirt and be uncomfortable because they want your merchandise. Well, now, to make matters worse, I already upstaged him with my humor that he thought was shit. Now we're selling merchandise and shirts are flying out of my bag.
Yeah.
And the women are like, the women are coming to me because the shirt I had was like kind of more geared towards women. So they're like, can I get a medium? Can I get a large?
Yeah.
No, this wasn't the release shirt anymore. This was before that.
Okay.
And then they go to him, well, I want a small. He's like, I don't have a small. All I have is extra large. Well, she had a small. And I just looked at him like, yeah, how's that extra large shit going for you?
How's your extra large
Mr.
policy?
Goddamn know-it-all.
Yeah.
And second show, he even said, can you tone it down a little bit? I said, no. I said, no. I said, mostly because, this was somebody I knew. I said, mostly because you don't want me to be me.
Yeah.
You are pissed that I'm me. Because throughout comedy, oh, Kat, you need to clean shit up. It's, if you're going to be dirty, you're not going to get the work. You know how much work there is in Christian clean comedy? Well, I'm not going to cash in on somebody's religion to make a paycheck.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wasn't taking his advice. And because I wouldn't listen to his advice, that pissed him off. Because he thought he was like, my guru of comedy. Just because I asked a few questions at the beginning. And then we just worked together, and he's like, what the fuck's going on here? They like her.
Right.
Like, that he didn't want them to like me because he was one of those chauvinistic mothers shouldn't be touring assholes. And not only that, in a half hour, the whole room falls in love with me, and he's like, fuck. I don't get that. I want everybody to do well.
Yeah, I do too.
But,
and he probably could have if he'd had a different attitude.
Yeah, if he would have just been who he was, he'd have done fine. Because he's very charismatic. When he's full energy on stage, he's one of the most charismatic comics I've ever met. But when he's got that, fuck, I don't really want to do comedy, I wanted to be an actor attitude, it comes through on stage.
For sure.
And he even told me back when I first started, I just saw comedy as a stepping stone to acting, and here I am 20 years later still doing this shit. Well, then get the fuck out.
Yeah.
There's 900
Make
people
room for the rest of us who really want to do it.
waiting for that spot that have that hunger, that have the eye of the tiger. You know what I mean?
For sure, yeah. Yeah.
You're up there phoning it in for 45 minutes, getting twice the paycheck I'm getting, and you suck. Because you're sad and tired, and you're basically, with your body language and your delivery, telling the audience, I got better places to be than this.
Yeah.
The audience deserves more.
They know.
The audience deserves more.
And that's the way I go to a lot of comedy shows too, where I take Karen, and I don't go to like try to get on stage. Right. I don't even go and go, hey, I'm a comedian, let me sit in the back with the other guys.
No, because you love comedy.
You're right. Yes. I want to go, but I also exactly. Karen loves comedy. We always have a great time at comedy clubs. Well, actually, you know what? Not so much clubs so much anymore.
One-nighters.
One-nighters. Yeah. If we go to like in Ames where we live, like tomorrow night, Todd Barry's going to be there. We're going to go in. We're going to have a fucking blast. It's just a bar. It's not a club. It's a bar. So you walk around. You can stay after the show. It's a great atmosphere. I like going to those. Versus a comedy club. Comedy clubs are okay. Nothing against comedy clubs, but whenever I've been in one, it's usually shit service. It's usually crammed in, uncomfortable. Get in your seat, and as soon as the show's done, get the fuck out. And that's not necessarily like. For me, I get it. It's kind of like going to a movie. You just go when the movie starts.
Right,
you leave
theater.
the movie.
Yeah, I like
but this is also, we're here, we're drinking. So it's kind of like, is this a social event? Or is this a theater? Like a lot of comedy clubs, to me, they can't decide whether they're a theater or a bar.
Right.
And you're mixing these two weird elements. Plus, you're crammed in these uncomfortable seats, sharing a table with people you don't know, and getting food that sucks, that costs 3 times as much, an $8 Budweiser, and on a tiny little table, and if you don't get your 2-drink minimum, they just charge you for it anyway. Right. So don't even be started on that.
Some of the funny bones and like the improvs, they have the bar outside. That's a great setup. My home club has a little bar off to the side. Yeah. So it's both. You got comedy, but when the show's over, you can socialize.
You can still stay at the bar.
You can chill out. You can be social after the show with the comics, with each other. That's the best setup.
I like that. But I also go because I like to sit in the audience. I like to have that audience experience. What I've learned from that is now I know when I'm on stage what the audience is thinking, what they're feeling. Like when I first started, I didn't think that maybe this motherfucker is watching me just is not. He spent $10 for the ticket tonight, but he's actually spending $100 for a babysitter.
Right.
And he took this is their one night of the year that they get to go out,
right?
Because they have kids. I'm not gonna fuck it up with my ad but I wouldn't have known that had I not been that guy that just went to the club just to sit in the audience, have that experience, and then when I saw a comic go on and essentially do what you're talking about, phone it in, and this is the headliner who we were real excited to see and paid money for and got a babysitter for, and then have them show up and do that. Like I'm like, you know what? Now that I understand that, like the audience member who's taken the effort and the expense to be there,
right?
Like you should respect them anyway, but having that in my life where now I'm that guy, right. I'm in the crowd, and I put in a lot of effort and time and money to be here, and now I'm watching bullshit. I vowed right then I will never
be that guy.
Like,
right? You have to give it your all, and it cracks me up the people who say, "Well, the audience doesn't matter." You're in the wrong business.
They matter 100%.
They are why we're up there. Otherwise, we are verbally masturbating into a microphone alone.
Right.
It baffles me. It doesn't matter if the audience doesn't matter. They're our paycheck. They're the reason why.
Yeah. Well, they matter, but they don't matter. Like you can't get hung up on a bit because one crowd didn't like it.
No, not that. But the idea as a whole, and it is the. You said people who spend on a babysitter, it's their one night out. Every single ass in those seats, you don't know what kind of day they had.
Exactly.
And I assumed it, but I learned it with people who had the heart to come to me after a show and say, this is why I had a rough day and this is why you made it better. When people are willing to bridge that and share that with me, you feel it when they're laughing and you see people relaxing and having it. You feel it. The energy's there, that connection is there. But it's ever so much more strengthened when somebody will take a minute and approach you after the show. They're not ready. They don't want to buy a t-shirt. They don't want to buy your shot glass. They just want to take 5 minutes and say thank you. And they don't have to. Their thanks is that my thank you is they showed up. I'm thanking them for being there. But they're saying, you know what? Just got a divorce. My husband died. My kid's sick. My mom's sick. My mom died. My dog died. I just lost my job. My husband's getting deployed next month. Whatever it is in their life that to them is big, they set it aside for 2 hours and let themselves be entertained, and you helped them. Because they feel better. They had that belly laugh that cleans your soul, that you just feel like you ran a marathon.
Yeah.
Or, your body feels cleaner after you laughed.
All that oxytocin.
You gave that to them, and they appreciated it. That's the exchange that we have. The money's great, the travel's great, but it's that connection. That's why. That's all I want. Because I'm a people junkie. I want that connection with people. I may never see them again, but they may remember that one rough spot. Well, I saw that one comic. They may not even remember my name, but they remember that one night, that one chick that made them laugh so hard they felt better.
Yeah.
That matters. And if it doesn't matter, you gotta think why it doesn't matter. Why would you say that doesn't matter?
Yeah.
That's huge. It's a human thing to want to feel connected. Even if you're in a dramatic play, you want to evoke emotion. Art is about evoking emotion. Let it be a painting. Let it be a poem, a song, spoken word, comics, all of it. Music. Yeah. It's to evoke a reaction. It's not to just lay there because it's your job and you wish you didn't have to do it, but you have to because you don't know anything else.
Yeah.
We are the court jesters of this time period.
Right.
There's always been somebody around to make others laugh. Our existence goes back in history. It proves that humor and humor as medicine is necessary. We can feel like, my God, I'm spending my weekend telling dick jokes instead of being with my kids. It's easy to get down on yourself. And maybe I make it too big. Maybe I romanticize it too much. But aside from the actual words we're telling, the act of saying, hey, come here, sit down. I'm going to make you feel really good for the next hour. That's a big deal because there's enough in life to make you feel like shit. Other people cut you off in traffic, don't hold the door open for you, mumble something rude under their breath. We treat each other like shit. As humans, we don't look out for each other, but then we can take that minute to a stranger and say, sit down. Let me see if I can make you feel good. Sit down. Come on. I'm going to make you forget all that shit for a half hour, 45 minutes. And that's always my attitude on stage. 5, 10 minutes, 15, half hour, an hour, whatever. It is my goal in that time frame to make them all forget anything except for what I'm talking about in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Let it all go. It'll be there waiting for you when you get in your car.
Right.
All the troubles you had when you walked in will still be there. But set them aside while we're here and let's have some fun.
Nice.
Isn't that what we do?
I think we actually have a responsibility to do that.
Yes, we do.
You know, what you're talking about is coming from a giving standpoint instead of a taking standpoint. A lot of entertainers, they're like, oh, the audience, they weren't giving me nothing. They weren't giving me nothing. Well, they don't need to give you anything. You need to give them. You need to give them a good time. They don't need to give you anything.
Right,
they don't. Audience doesn't even have the obligation to laugh.
No.
You know, it's an involuntary reaction.
Right.
You know, laughter is not like, yeah, I can muster up a courtesy laugh, ha ha ha, good one.
Right.
Right. You know, I can do a little giggle, but like legitimate laughter is an involuntary reaction.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to. The reason why they paid money is for us to go up there and make them have that involuntary reaction. We got to give them the stimulus to have that involuntary reaction of laughter, which is going, like you said, it's going to brighten their day. It's going to help them forget about whatever their problems are. It's going to help them get laid that night.
Endorphin rush, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all that stuff. So
endorphins are a pain reliever. They may have physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain. Let it go. Let's have some fun.
That's what it's all about.
I was at a show. I wasn't even a year into comedy. I drove like 6 hours to get to a club to showcase. And there might have been 12 people in the audience. Now, the guy that was emceeing it was a seasoned comic, and the audience was just, it was like they all lost a bet. They wanted to go bowling and ended up at Comedy and Second. You know what I mean? Where like they all came from the same emo cutters convention or the same funeral and ended up, it was a rough night. And I'm a new comic, and my stomach started turning. I'm like, I drove 6 hours for nothing. For nothing. I only have 15 minutes on stage. I'm going to tank it. I wasted gas. I wasted time. And then I went, wait a minute. We literally have no control over any human being but ourselves. For 15 minutes, I'm going to have fun on that stage. My material is like I'm driving a tour bus and I want to show them what I have to show them.
Yeah.
They have a choice to get on the bus or sit on the curb. I can't make them get on the bus.
Right.
But I can drive that fucking bus. And I'm like standing off in the wings, watching the comic in front of me tank out his ass. And he was funny, but the audience was like, yeah, whatever. And usually that would make me go, oh, fuck. And I don't know if it was a moment of insanity snapping, like, I'm going to have fun, because I know I'm going to die up there.
Yeah.
And I got up there, I did 15 minutes. I'm not even going to lie and say, they love me. They did the same shit to me as they did to the other people. Yeah. Very indifferent, like, yeah, whatever. But I had a ball. And after the show, half those people came to me. You were so funny. I'm like, you didn't show it, you know?
Yeah.
And I got work off the 15 minutes because I showed them, look, I'm going to have fun. We're going to have a good time. When your room's actually full of people who want to be here, we're going to have a blast. But it's weird.
Well, some of the best advice I ever got. You ever work with Jim Wiggins?
Never heard of him.
You never heard of him?
Nope.
He's dead now, but he was like, his thing was 30 years in the business, 60 years old, 90 minutes of comedy. So that was kind of like his.
Right.
So he was, old, like long white hair, old hippie. He was on Last Comic Standing. He did the Tonight Show.
Wow,
was an old man. Walked around the cane. So I always called him the Yoda of comedy.
All right.
And he had like a weird voice. He'd say like these really he's like, jer-dog, I love you, kid. And so some of the advice he said to me, he said, and this always stuck with me. And I was the guy that you're talking about, where it showed up like, oh, this is a bullshit situation. What the fuck am I doing? I'm wasting my time. I immediately get into that low vibration attitude. When I worked with Wiggins, I was talking about that. I was like, man, he's like, where were you last night, son? And I was like, well, I was here. He's like, how did that go? And I was complaining about it. It's like, were you telling jokes? And I was like, yeah. He's like, let me give you a little advice from your old friend Wiggy. Always have fun. If you have fun, they'll have fun with you, and you'll never have a bad show.
Right.
And as soon as I adopted that attitude, I've had some shows where I was miserable.
Yeah.
But I still went up there like, I'm going to have fun in my misery.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to use my misery
yes.
to, like, channel the passion. Doesn't matter whether I had a great day or shitty day. I'm going to use that and put it into what I'm doing. I'm gonna have fun with that.
Yeah, and I guess I look at it. Nobody could have told me when I was in my 20s that this is what I would be in my 40s.
Yeah.
Like I would have told them they were fucking stupid. So when I look at it from the time I started to now, and the experiences and the opportunities that I have found and worked for, I mean, you don't just get gigs without earning them. I don't like to toot my own horn like that. Like, I had to work so hard. I did work hard, but I also feel like things just came into alignment as needed. The gig I met you at.
Right.
I took that one night gig thinking I'd be able to buffer it on either side with more work and didn't get any. Most people told me I was crazy to keep that 18 hours one way.
Right.
Did the show, 5 hours sleep, 18 hours back, through a blizzard both ways, and my back was killing me all that driving in 2 days. But you never know when it's going to serve a purpose. That we probably never would have met otherwise.
Probably not.
And we wouldn't be doing this now.
I was featuring.
Right.
You know, when would I be featuring?
Right.
You know, just coincidentally where we would have ran into
That's
each other.
why I took it, because that was my first headlining gig through that agency. That's the only reason I kept it. It was the first time you headlined me. But you don't know who you're going to meet and how it's going to resurface later. So if you've got a shitty attitude, like if I had walked in pissed off that I didn't have work and that I had to drive 18 hours for one fucking gig, would you have said, well, I want to work with her again?
Right.
No, because somebody can be funny on stage, but if they put off a negative energy off stage, I don't like to be around those people.
Yeah.
I like to be around people whose souls vibrate in a positive direction. And we are doing something that we love and getting paid for it. There is such a small faction of the human race that can say, I love what puts food on the table. People go to work because they have to.
Yeah.
If you are a have-to worker, and I am, I don't know many families that can survive off one income. I have to work. And I get to say, yeah, I have to work, but man, I love what I do. That's a gift. That makes being an adult so much fucking easier than going to a job you hate. I loved being a nurse aide. I enjoyed the atmosphere of working in a hospital. When I broke my back and couldn't do it anymore, I wept like a baby that I was no longer going to be able to do something I loved, because I didn't want to get stuck in corporate America again, sitting in a fucking cubicle farm, pushing buttons like I had been before.
Yeah.
I had a great job, 401k, paid vacation, great, and I was miserable because it was a have-to job that I hated.
Yeah, yeah.
I had to work, and I hated my fucking job. It was sucking the life out of me. And I found I was a nurse aide. Oh my God, this is fantastic. I am caring for people, and I am learning things, and I'm making a hard part in their life easier by going in with the right attitude, and I ran my ass off for those people. And I broke my back. I caught a patient as he fell.
Yeah.
And I felt my back just go, ha, fuck you. I got him in bed. I walked out of his room bent in the L position, and I said, somebody get me to the ER right now. And that was it. My back, my L4, L5 exploded. I was done. I had surgery, physical therapy, everything else, and my doctor said, you can't do that work anymore. And I was devastated because I thought it felt calling when I worked at the hospital. I thought, like, literally the clouds opened, this is what you're going to do. So then I had the kids, and it happened again with comedy. Like, here, or you get a second, I got a second chance to do something I want to go to work to do. And anybody that's in comedy that hates it needs to get out. Because there are enough people
100%.
that want it and love it, that will do right by the art of it.
Yeah, yeah. Go do what you love.
God, if you're not happy here, go do theater. Go to LA and New York and try to do improv. Get on Saturday Night Live. Go do commercials, voiceover work. Whatever is your true passion, please do it. But if it's not comedy and you're ruining audiences because you're bitter and pissed,
right,
you are ruining my chance of continuing this career, because the audiences are going to get smaller and doors are going to close.
Right.
That's where I take offense, personally, to the assholes that are just bitter as fuck. Their material hasn't changed in 20 years and they're angry, and the audience is angry when they leave because they don't feel like they got their money's worth.
Yep.
Half those people are going to think twice before they go to comedy again.
Yep.
It's not about I'm better than the next person. I don't want to be better than anybody. I want everybody to be fantastic. I want every comic I see to have the passion to do it well even if they're new. You can be new and still be good.
Right.
You can be shaky. You can drop jokes. You can fuck up punchlines. But if your passion is there, the audience will ride it out with you. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be hilarious out the gate. Just love it. Love it and let the audience know you love it.
And keep at it and have fun. Have fun.
Yeah.
And you'll never have a bad show.
Exactly.